Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano Premamritam Manidhi Dhiradhi
Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuranmilitanyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stabhitanyena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamaya Didanti Swapadantikam. First of all, I offer my most humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Diksha Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Asatara Sata Srisimad, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Asatara Sata Srisimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha Gurus, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharti Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Bhagavan, the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, unto the lotus feet of Sri Arjuna, the hearer of Bhagavad Gita, unto Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself, and unto the lotus feet of the great commentators on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the original Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Madhvacharya, Srila Ramanujacharya, Srila Baldev Vijabhushan, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And I offer my obeisances to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are attending here today. My Dandavat Pranam. So, we are now into the third chapter of the middle section of Bhagavad Gita. This is chapter 9. We did chapter 7, which is Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of union with Krishna, relationship with Krishna. Then yesterday we did chapter 8, which is Prayojan, the goal, where we're going. Now, chapter 9 is going to be Avideya, which is process. What is the process? And the 16 questions that drive the narrative of the Bhagavad Gita, which are spoken about by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj in his commentary in the second chapter, verse number 54. The next question won't be until the 10th chapter, 16th verse. The last question was last night. It was verses number 1 and 2 of the 8th chapter. Kid tad Brahma kim adhyatmam. What are Brahman, Karma, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, Adidaiva, etc., etc. So the next one doesn't come till the 10th chapter, which is tomorrow night's discussion, so there won't be any questions by Arjuna in the 9th chapter. There will only be Sri Krishna speaking. So he's continuing to speak. He's continuing to explain the answer to the questions that were asked at the beginning of the 8th chapter. So this is a continuation of his explanation or answer to those questions. Now we will hear from Krishna, the first verse of the 9th chapter, which is called the most confidential knowledge. Most confidential knowledge. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te goyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave Jnanam Vijnanam Sahitam Yajganatva Mokshasi Subhat. The Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, The Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Anasuyave, never envious, is very important. Srila Narottam Das Thakur talks about the 6 negative emotions: lust, anger, greed, envy, pride or bewilderment, and madness or illusion. So these are the 6 negative emotions. And he explains that envy, is the only one that has to be uprooted. It has to be seriously removed from the heart. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that all the other 5 are found within envy. That envy is the root of lust, anger, greed, etc. What are we envious of? That's the question. And Krishna says here, because you're never envious of me, why would we be envious of Krishna? What does Krishna have that we envy? He has 6 opulences. He has wealth, he has fame, he has beauty, he has knowledge, he has power, and he has renunciation. And these 6 opulences are what we hanker after. Women want to be beautiful, men want to be wealthy, men want to be powerful, women want to be powerful, everyone wants to be knowledgeable. So the desire for these things, we identify with the material body. I am this body. And then we want the body to have the opulences. So we want wealth. We want fame. Everyone is very eager, hankering for fame. We see that young boys and young girls have become completely shameless. They send naked pictures of themselves on the telephone. Why? A few minutes of fame. A few minutes of fame. Oh, now I'm famous. So for fame, they are ready to commit such sinful activity. They're confused. For fame, for wealth, people steal. They rob, they steal, they fight. They do many, many things. They even kill in order to get money. we talked about the modes of material nature, the modes of ignorance and passion. Okay? So when we envy the opulences of Krishna, we lust after them and we become greedy for them. So this is mode of passion. Influence of the mode of passion. Lust and greed to acquire, accumulate more. And if we don't get those things that we lust after, that we're greedy for, anger. Then we become angry. And if we get them in some small amount, we become proud. We're bewildered. We think, let's see, now I have money. Now I am very beautiful and famous because my naked picture is there. Now I am very powerful or influential because I got a promotion to a higher position in the company. We become proud. And due to this pride, we become bewildered. And then we make mistakes. This is madness and illusion. So like this, these things are in the mode of ignorance. Pride, bewilderment, madness, illusion. These are forgetfulness of our actual identity. So by identifying with those different opulences, I am this body. I want to be a wealthy body, a beautiful body, a strong or powerful, influential. Like this, we try to achieve those things. And all of this is rooted in envy. All rooted in envy. So this envy causes us to become further bound up, further tightened up in the material nature. And Krishna can't impart the most confidential knowledge to someone who's envious of him. Even if we get all the opulences, just like Princess Diana, beautiful, wealthy, powerful and influential, very knowledgeable. She had all these opulences. Huh?
Very austere.
Excuse me?
Very austere.
Austere.
Yeah, she had austerity about her. Sorry.
So, she had these different opulences. Beauty, wealth, knowledge, power, influence, fame, very famous. But was she happy? No. She was a miserable woman because she didn't have the one thing that she really wanted. That is love. Love is really what we want. And understanding what love in bhakti is, which is what Krishna is going to be explaining in this chapter, and in the other chapters in this section on Bhakti Yoga, we will see that love is a matter of trying to please Krishna. I was just looking at a video. This rabbi was also a psychiatrist or a psychologist, very learned person, very elderly. He was talking about a parable, a story, that he met one man and he saw that the man was eating a fish. So he asked the man, "Why are you eating this fish?" And the man said, "I love fish." And the person said to him, "No, you don't love fish. If you loved fish, why would you take the fish out of his natural habitat, skin him, boil him in the water, and eat him? You don't love fish. You love yourself. And to please your tongue, you've killed this fish, to eat the fish." When two people meet, they talk about love. "Oh, I love this person loves me." What is that love? The love is about, I see that this person behaves in a way towards me that she will satisfy my senses and make me happy. So that's why I love her. And she's thinking, "Oh, this man, I love him because he acts in a way that satisfies my senses." This is why the divorce rate is so high. As soon as one doesn't feel the sense pleasure, out. I can't find that person who always gives me pleasure. We call it love, but it's actually not love. It's a contract between two people. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So, Krishna is trying to emphasize here the importance of Arjuna's nature, that he's not envious of Krishna. He doesn't want Krishna's wealth, fame, beauty, knowledge, or power. He doesn't want it. Therefore, he's a candidate for hearing Bhagavad Gita, for understanding Bhagavad Gita, for understanding the most confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. This is the beauty of what Krishna is expressing here. How can we get rid of envy? How can we tear it out by the roots? How can we get rid of the other negative emotions? Lust, anger, greed, pride, madness. How can we get rid of them? We can only get rid of them by associating with someone who's not envious. And by that association, they will gradually remove these anarthas, unwanted things, unwanted negative emotions. They will remove them when they see that we've learned the importance of serving Krishna by serving them. The sadhu doesn't want to be served. This is a thankless task. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, he always used to sing that prayer. There's one bhajan, and in that bhajan, he would say, it says that, let me always think that I am the disciple of my guru. Never let me think that I'm the guru. Let me always think of myself as the disciple of my guru. Let me not try to share the remnants of my food with others. Let me always take the remnants of my guru, the remnants of the sadhus. Let me always take their foot dust. Let me always take their foot water. Let me take these things. This is what I want. To always be in the mood of service. So they really don't want, what to speak of need or require, they don't even want. They have no desire for that service. But they accept it. They accept it because they know that it's their responsibility to be the external manifestation of Krishna. We, as individuals, have no access, no direct access to Krishna, no direct access to serving Krishna. We have these deities here, but how do we serve those deities? Again, through Guru. Our service to the deity without Guru is idol worship. We can only serve the deity through the Guru because the deity doesn't accept anything from us. The deity accepts from the Guru, from the pure devotee. So the external manifestation of Krishna, Sri Guru, he's the one who can teach us by association, by hearing his sweet Harikatha, how not to be envious, how not to be critical. And by reducing envy, automatically the other things are reduced. The lust, the anger, the greed, the pride, the illusion. All of it becomes reduced concomitantly as we reduce the envy. As the desire for trying to obtain those different opulences of Krishna, because we want to identify them with our body and make that about who we are. I am a wealthy person. I'm a beautiful person. I'm a famous person. There was one video I saw of this actor. He has just become recently, in the past few years, famous. And they were interviewing him, and he said, for so many years I worked so hard, day and night, going to all the auditions, studying the scripts, studying the acting, going to different training classes, getting the advice and direction of senior performers so that I was at the top of my game as best as I could be, in the hopes of coming to this point of where I was getting the big multi-million-dollar contracts, the big fame and the big write-ups and all the newspapers and television interviews and all of these things that come with it, the fame and the power and the influence and the money and the big house on the beach in California. And he said, and then when I got there, it was empty. There was nothing there. I thought when I had all of that, I would finally be happy. And when I arrived, it was like emptiness. There was nothing there. And this is what happened with Princess Diana. Who knows how many births she was working on getting the birth that she got with all those opulences. And then when she got it, what did she have? Emptiness. No love. And therefore, no happiness. Because love is the real thing. Arjuna and Krishna have this love. Arjuna and Krishna are very intimate. When they lie in the bed, Krishna lies down and he has his feet at Arjuna's head, and Arjuna has his feet at Krishna's head. How intimate. Can we put our feet at Krishna's head? No. But Arjuna, the intimacy is so great. Krishna and Arjuna sometimes would eat off the same plate. Can we eat off Krishna's plate? No. But this was the intimacy that was shared between Arjuna and Krishna. There was love, real love. So therefore Krishna is saying, because you are never envious of me, anasuyave, you have no envy of me, of who I am. You only have love for me. Therefore I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom. To have the most secret wisdom of spiritual knowledge imparted into your heart can only come when we don't have envy of Krishna. Once you know this, Krishna says, you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. What are the material miseries? Birth, death, disease, and old age. So, therefore, this confidential knowledge is being given by Krishna to Arjuna based on how he is interacting with Krishna in love and without envy. That's why this first statement by Krishna to Arjuna in the 9th chapter is so important. Because it reveals the innermost secret for receiving the most confidential knowledge about Krishna consciousness. So now, Krishna will tell Arjuna what the nature of this confidential knowledge is. Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshavagaman Dharmyam Susukham Kartam Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So the process of Krishna consciousness is joyfully performed. Why is it joyful? It's joyful because one becomes relieved of the burden of envy in his heart. And when the burden of envy is being removed, then the burden of the other negative emotions, lust, anger, greed, madness, pride, illusion, they all dissipate. No one feels happy when they're impelled by lust or when they're impelled by greed to act in ways that are hurtful and harmful to other people. These energies, these emotions, these negative emotions push us to behave in a manner which is not befitting our human form of life, especially as devotees. So therefore, as the burden of these things is relieved, as the burden of the karma, of past karma is relieved, as the burden of sinful desires and sinful life and sinful reactions is relieved from our body, our mind, and our consciousness, we become joyful. We become very joyful because now we're engaged in Krishna's service with love and devotion. What the king of education and the most secret of all secrets is will be explained in the last verse of this chapter. And it will be repeated again in the 18th chapter, verse number 65. Furthermore, it will be clarified in the Chatur Shloki of the 10th chapter. So, the thread of how the dialogue is going, he's talking about the king of education and the most secret of all secrets. Those secrets will be revealed in the 10th chapter, in the 11th chapter, and the 12th chapter. But the foundation will be given in the last verse of this chapter, which is considered the most important verse. Ashradhanaha purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Those who are not faithful on the path of devotional service cannot attain me. O conqueror of foes, but return to birth and death in this material world. So now, Prabhupada in this purport, he talks about three divisions of faith in devotional service. And he discusses the third class devotee, which is technically the Kanistha Adhikari. And he says, actually, they have no real faith. They are engaged in devotional service officially for some ulterior motive. If they are engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage because they have some ulterior purpose. Eventually, they may slip away after some time. Srila Prabhupada says, we have practical experience in discharging our missionary activity that some people come and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive. And as soon as they are economically situated, then they give up the process and take to their old ways again. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in the literature of devotional service and has attained the stage of firm faith is called a first-class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class are those who are not advanced in understanding the devotional scriptures, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so on good faith have taken it up. So he describes the three kinds of devotees who are, he calls it the three divisions of Krishna conscious men. Now, Krishna explains some verses showing how people don't understand him and his nature, and therefore that's why they may lack in faith. Because he's just said, those who are not faithful on the path cannot attain me. Why would they not be faithful? Now he's going to explain what are some of his extraordinary transcendental qualities that make it hard for people to recognize and have faith. Maya tatam midam sarvam jagaravyakta murtina matstani sarabhutani nachaham teshavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Nacha matstani bhutani pashyame yogam aishvaram. Bhuta brin nacha bhuta sto mamata bhuta bhavana. And yet, everything that is created does not rest on me. First he just said, he's just saying in the previous verse that by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation. Mama Atma, myself. Krishna is saying, Mama Atma, myself, me, the supreme Atma, the Paramatma. I'm the source of everything. Krishna in the two-armed form is the source. So this is very important to understand. As the mighty wind blowing everywhere always rests in ethereal space, know that in the same manner all beings rest in me. So we go back again to the principle of Advait Gyan Paratattva. In that principle, there's different aspects of that one non-dual substance. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti. So, therefore, Krishna pervades this universe as Paramatma. He's in every atom and in between every atom. The entire material energy, the shadow of Rama Devi, the expansion of Radha, Durga Devi, this shadow, rests on Brahman, his effulgence. So the shadow rests on his effulgence, and he pervades this entire universe by his Paramatma form. And he manifests the universes by his Mahavishnu form. But his Mahavishnu form comes from Mahasankarshan. And Mahasankarshan comes from Mula Sankarshan. And Mula Sankarshan comes from Balaram. And Balaram comes from Krishna. So therefore, Krishna says, I'm not there. I am not in them. And yet everything that is created does not really rest in me. Me meaning myself, Mama Atma. I'm the source of everything, and although I'm the maintainer of all the living entities, and although I'm everywhere, still I am separated from all of this. As the mighty wind blowing everywhere always rests in ethereal space, know that in the same manner all beings rest in me. They're all existing within him the way wind exists within the space of the universe. Just as that wind touches the universe and yet it's separate, the universe is separate from it. Similarly, the living beings are here and yet separate. Sarva Bhutani Konteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpashaye Punastani Kalpadal Vishrajami Aham. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, every material manifestation enters into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I again create. So now, we talked about this last night. He makes the point here, the Brahma lives for 100 years. His day is calculated at 4,300,000,000 of our earthly years. And his night is the same, so that's 8,600,000,000. 30 such days and nights makes 1 year, makes 1 month, and 12 such months make 1 year, and 100 such years make 1 lifetime. So at the end of that, we were talking about this last night, everything again wraps up. It comes back into the body of Mahavishnu. And then the Vedic aphorism is there. Then again, when there is need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by Krishna's will. Although I am one, I shall now become many. So all the living entities are manifest from Krishna. This is the Vedic aphorism. He expands himself in this material energy, and the whole cosmic manifestation again takes place. Prakritim swam avastabhya vishrijami puna puna bhuttagamam imam kritsnam avasham prakritir vasat. The whole cosmic order is under me. By my will, it is maintained again and again. And by my will, it is annihilated at the end. Nachamam tani karmani nibudnanti dhananjaya udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached, seated as though neutral. When Krishna works, it is not binding. It is not karma. Krishna is not subject to the laws of the modes of material nature like we are. Now he explains that in the 10th verse. Very important verse. Prabhupada used to quote this verse many times. Maya dyakshena prakriti suyate sa chara charam hetuna nena konteya jagadvi parivartate. This material nature is working under my direction. Maya dyakshena. Like in the other verse, Mama Maya durate. It's my Maya, Krishna. I own it. It belongs to me, and I control it. It is working under my direction. Maya dyakshena prakriti. This prakriti, this material nature, works under me. I am the superintendent. O son of Kunti. And it is producing all moving and non-moving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Avijananti mamudha manushim tanum ashritam parambhavam majananto mamabhutam maheshwaram. This is another verse, 9:11. Prabhupada used to quote this verse many times. This verse, 9:11, Prabhupada used to quote this verse many times. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So Krishna is declaring his supremacy here. That he's not the material nature. The material nature is under his control, under his adhyakshena, his superintendence. He's in control of material nature. And the fools who do not understand who he is when he appears here in a human-like form, they deride him. But they don't understand his transcendental nature, his supreme dominion over all that be. This is why in Krishna Lila, Brahma, even Brahma, he thinks, oh, I'll put all the coward boys in the cave. I'll see who this little coward boy is, this little blue boy. Indra thinks, who is this little blue boy who's stopping my offerings? Like this, so many different great, powerful demigods in the universe, they have some misconception. Who is Krishna? Who is Krishna? What to speak of them? People like Mr. Hitchens and others of their ilk have a great misunderstanding about the actual nature of Krishna. Therefore, they deride him when he appears in his human-like form. And they do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. Mogasham mogakarmano mogajana nichetasa vichetasa rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shrita. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. So we see that these persons, their view, this will be explained in chapter 16. What is the mood of the demoniac person? That this material nature is simply here for my pleasure, for my enjoyment. There is no God. I was looking, making some post on Facebook, and I saw one post come up by the Atheist Society or something like that, And it was a slogan that they were making. Science, it kills stupid. We have science, it kills stupid. So I went to the page and I said, made a post. So when the scientists in Tuskegee, Alabama, allowed hundreds of African Americans to suffer with syphilis for many, many years, even after penicillin was invented and could have cured them of the condition, just so they could see what would happen when the disease ran its course in its body. What kind of science was that? Then I pointed out how in the late 70s, early 80s, in the early 80s, when AIDS first broke out, there was a meeting of all the physicians and scientists on the board of the National Blood Bank. They knew that AIDS was in the blood. They didn't know where. They didn't know how to go through it all and test it all to find where it was, but they knew it was there. And they knew that innocent people were going to get blood transfusions and get AIDS and die. But they calculated the costs. If they had to dump the entire blood supply and start fresh, it would have been more expensive than taking on a few cases, ever many cases it would be, that people got AIDS from the blood. Then they would sue, then they would have to pay some money for that. And they calculated the amount of money they would have to pay for the court cases of people who sued them for wrongful death suits would be less than the amount of money they would lose by dumping the entire blood supply. Statistics show, there's been written an article in The Lancet, the leading medical journal in Britain, and then again in JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, that only 15 to 20% of all medical procedures have significant clinical evidence to prove their efficacy. The other 80 to 85% is guesswork. Therefore, after heart disease and cancer, the third leading cause of death in the United States is iatrogenic disease, which means death due to medical mistakes by the doctors and the hospitals. So I put these up and then I said, science killed stupid. You mean you're killing the stupid people who have faith in you? No one responded to it. Put that on the atheist page. Because I didn't approach them from, oh, there's a God, there's this, there's that. I just exposed how stupid they really are. So, those who are thus bewildered or attracted by demoniac and atheistic views, there's no God, there's no soul, there's no consciousness, there's just chemicals, a biogenesis. There's a chemical soup and it comes together and out of that comes consciousness, and then from that consciousness you get some one-celled amoebas which eventually become human beings after billions of years. And this is their philosophy. And when you die, you go back into the soup. You came from the soup, you go to the soup. There is no God. It's just emotional comfort. Meanwhile, there is a Harvard researcher. Hopefully I'll remember his name before I finish explaining the story. He did this research. And he published it in a book. And in the research, what they did was they had doctors from several hospitals give them lists of patients who were seriously ill. So then they took the list and randomly divided them into two groups. And then they had somebody else give the list to 5 people: a Catholic nun, a Buddhist monk, a Hindu priest, a Protestant minister, and a Jewish rabbi. 5 different religious faiths. And then they told those people, we're not giving you the names. We have a list. We have a list of names of people in the hospital who are sick. We're not going to give you the names. We just want you to pray for sick people in the hospital. This list. You pray for the people on this list. You don't know who they are. You don't know their names. You don't know what hospital they're in. You just pray for this list. And then the other list, of course, nobody was praying for them. And the doctors didn't know who was on the prayer list and who was on the other list. They had no idea what was going on, what the experiment was about at all. They were just told, give us lists of names. So nobody knew what anybody else was doing. The patients didn't know. They were not informed that there was an experiment going on. The doctors didn't know. They just had the lists. The people who were praying didn't know. They were just told to pray for someone on a list who they didn't know who it was. Nobody knew anything. And after a significant amount of time, they reviewed the health and well-being of all the people on the 2 lists. And everybody on the list that was being prayed for got significantly better. And everyone on the other list made negligible progress, if any. So they tried to conduct what they considered was a blind clinical study. And to their surprise, prayer works. Prayer works. People get better when you pray for them. So these people who do not understand the nature of Krishna, who are ignorant of his supreme nature, they're bewildered and they're attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their cultural knowledge are all defeated. And now Krishna explains in this verse that those persons who follow this path of demoniac and atheistic views will ultimately be defeated in every sphere of life. It may appear that they have some success as professors or speakers or businessmen or whatever it is that they do. It may appear like that. But ultimately, they have no success. Because again, they will have to suffer in this world. Birth after birth after birth. Now, Krishna is going to give an explanation about the divine persons, not the demoniac. He's talked about the demoniac, but now he's going to talk about the divine persons and what their activities are. Now we're going to start talking about process. Mahatmanastu mamparta daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso Ganatva Bhutadim Avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. Unlike those who are attracted to demoniac and atheistic principles, who are under the control of Maya, my material nature, Mama Maya, Maya Dyakshena, Prakriti, the material nature which is under my control. Those persons are under that material nature, under the shadow potency. But those who are not deluded, the Mahatmas, the great souls, they're under the protection of Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. They're under the protection of the divine nature. They're fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. What is the behavior of such people? It's not lust, anger, greed, and envy. The behavior of such people is very different. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantas cha dridha vrata namasyantas chamam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So here, he's giving us the behavior of those who are engaged in devotional service and teaching us how they became great, what the process is. Always chanting my glories, always endeavoring to perform devotional service with great determination, always bowing down before me, offering obeisances. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Shraddhavan bhajateyo mam sa mahatma sadurlabha. These are the Mahatmas. These are the persons who are most dear to me because they're always engaged in my devotional service. Then he talks about other persons who are not yet completely engaged in pure devotional service. Jnana yagyena chapyanye yajanto mam upasate ekatvena pritakvena bahuda vishvato mukham. Others who are engaged in the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, diverse in many and in the universal form. So the Jnana Yogis, or the Gyan Mishra Bhaktis, they worship God, but in awe and reverence. The Bhaktas, they're engaged in rag, spontaneous service, always chanting the glories of the Lord, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. They have faith and love. But the Jnana Yogis, they're also worshiping the Supreme Lord, but as the one without a second, as the Brahman. Diverse in many, and in the universal form, the Vishvarup. So now Krishna says, however, the Jnana Yogi should know something. Aham kratur aham yagna mantroham aham av evajam aham magnir aham hutam. And Krishna is directly speaking to Arjuna. He says, but it is I, Krishna, with the two-armed form, who am the ritual. I am the sacrifice. I am the offering to the ancestors. I am the healing herb. the transcendental chant, I am the butter and the fire and the offering. This refers back now to what was being spoken about in verse 424. Remember in 424? We talked about that. In that verse, in the purport, Prabhupada talks about this point. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagnau brahmanahutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahmakarma samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So what is Krishna saying here in the 9th chapter? I am the butter. I am the fire. I am the offering. I am everything. All these things are me. They're non-different from me. Pitaham asya jagato mata datta pita maha vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajarevacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rik, the Sama, and the Yajurvedas. So here he's saying that everything, they're studying all these Vedas for Gyan, but that's me, Krishna is saying. And he'll emphasize that again later in the 15th chapter. In the 15th chapter, he gives that verse, Avasya chaham ridi sanavisto, matasmriter ganam apavanam cha. Vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. Vedaischa saver eva. That by all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the source of the Vedas. I am the knower of the Vedas. Vedanta krit vedavit. I am the source of the Vedas, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So here he's saying, I am also Rik, Sama, and Yajurveda. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I control heat, the rain, and the drought. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both being and non-being are in me. So now in the 11th chapter, Krishna is saying all these things. In the 10th chapter, Arjuna asks him, and we'll see this question that he asks, please show me, tell me about your opulences in this world. And he does. And then in the 11th chapter, he says, now show me these opulences. So this is, all of these verses are presaging what is going to happen in the future. This is the thread, the link. And here he's saying, I am death personified. And he shows that in the 11th chapter. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. So in this way, he's showing how what was spoken about in the previous chapter, 8th chapter of Brahma Bhuvanaloka, Punarvartino Arjuna, from the greatest planet in the universe, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planets. All are places of birth, death, disease, and old age. But when one goes to my supreme planet, then he never comes here to this material world again. So here he's showing Even these Gyanis, they study the Vedas, they do this, they do that, they go to the heavenly planets. They're only worshiping me indirectly. He points that out also in the previous chapters, where he says that they lust after certain pleasures, so they worship the demigods. I give them the faith. But they should know that the benedictions they're getting from the demigods come from me alone. Therefore, worshiping me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. And when they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to the mortal planet again. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. It is said that one will live for 10,000 or 100,000 years in heaven and enjoy many, many pleasures. But what is that period of time in relation to eternity? It is not even a grain of sand on the beach. It is insignificant. So therefore, Krishna says that the best thing, if you're thinking that you need to worship some demigod to obtain some benefits, try to be in the mood of my devotees. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nitya biyukta nam yogashema vahamyam. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. This again refers back to in the 6th chapter where Arjuna asked that question. What happens if I don't make success in the practice of yoga? What will happen to me? I preserve what you have, Krishna says. I preserve it, and it will be there in your consciousness, in your spiritual consciousness, and you will carry it to the next birth. And you will begin again. You will begin again. And if you have to make some endeavor, but you are not totally, you feel like you're not capable or you don't have the qualifications, by worshiping me with devotion and meditating on my transcendental form, I will carry what you lack. This could never have been more clear than when we started this ISKCON movement in the service of Srila Prabhupada. We were children. I was 20 years old and I was doing all the bookkeeping for the temple based on what I had learned in high school. And these other devotees who were 23 and 24 and 25 were the temple presidents, and they were managing all the business affairs. We were young kids, and yet we had made a big movement. How? Because Prabhupada said, I'm empowering you. I'm empowering you. And by his power, Krishna carried what we lacked. If we didn't know or we didn't understand, it was revealed to us by Krishna. And he showed us how to make a success in what we were doing. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shrayanvita tepi mam evakonte yajanti avidhi puravakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. this is very important because this is a setup for the verse that we're going to be spending a long time talking about tomorrow, which is the 30th verse, Apichet Sudaracharo, even if one commits the most abominable actions. Bhajate mam ananya bhak. If he is engaged in devotional service, and we're going to see what the deep meaning of that engagement is. We're going to discuss all the different aspects of this. So this is a setup verse. This is setting up the narrative for the deeper meaning of what's going to be expressed in that verse that we're going to discuss. When you offer to sacrifice to other gods, it is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. And Krishna is the Vishaya, the object of worship. Those who worship the demigods, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, this is a very famous and important verse. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrin Yanti Pitri Vrata Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Yanti Mad Yajanopi Mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the planet of the ancestors. And those who worship me will live with me. So this goes back to that verse, Yeyatamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamiham. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. How is he rewarding them? It's not every path is the same. Whoever you worship, you end up in the same place. That's not an accurate description of what's going on. Krishna is saying here, you worship the demigods, then you'll go to the demigods. You worship the ghosts, you'll go to the ghosts. In India, there's people, that's what they do. They do ghost worship. Srila Prabhupada was talking one time, it may be in this purport, or some purport, he talks about how, in the divine and demoniac nature, this man was doing business in India. He was selling different materials to Hitler in Germany during the war, and he was making a lot of money, so he used to do puja to Hitler. He was worshiping Hitler because Hitler was giving him money. So this is the result. Who you worship, that's where you'll go. So the demigods, okay, you'll go to the demigods. You'll go to Indra, you'll go to Chandra, you'll go to whoever it is. And those who worship the ghosts and the spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship the ancestors will go to the place of the ancestors, Pitri Loka. Those who worship me will live with me. And then he gives us process again. What is the process? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tanaham bhaktya paritam asnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So here, the process is being given. Srila Prabhupada makes the point that Krishna doesn't ask for meat, fish, and eggs. He asks for fruits and flowers and leaves and water. And he makes the point that Krishna makes it very simple, because even the poorest man can get some water from the Ganges and a tulsi leaf. It's available everywhere. A leaf and water is available to anyone. Even a homeless person can get water and a leaf. Not impossible. So everyone can worship Krishna with love and devotion by offering leaves, flowers, fruit, and water. And I will accept it. The important point is that it's offered with love and devotion. And this is the key, because prasadam is not a ritual. It's not that you put the thing on the altar and you say some official prayers and okay. It's prasadam. I remember one time in Bombay, I was sitting there and they were serving out the prasadam, the lunch prasadam, and they put the khichdi in the plate, and it was complete. It was like eating charcoal. It was that burned. The smoke had permeated the entire khichdi, and although the burned part was not on the plate, it tasted like charcoal. So I didn't eat it. So then the devotee came around for seconds and he said, "You want khichdi, Prabhu?" I said, "No, thanks." I said, "It's burned." "Prabhu, it's prasadam." I said, "No, it's not prasadam. You just put it on the altar and you do some prayers and it's a ritual and it's prasadam? You think Krishna ate this? If I don't want to eat it, why would he eat it?" They're not thinking. You offer me with love and devotion. Now, if the love and devotion is very great, yes, that could be overcome. Just like in Ramayana, that lady is biting on the fruits to see which ones are sweet. And then after she bites on it, oh, this one's sweet, and then she gives it to Ram, and Ram's eating it. Why? Because she's doing it with so much love. So how could he refuse? There's no lust involved in that. And then the story, of course, with Vidura's wife in Mahabharata. She's so overwhelmed with love for Krishna that when she says to him, can I give you some fruit? He says, "Please give me some bananas." So she goes to bring him the bananas. She's peeling the banana and she's giving him the skin. Okay, and Krishna eats the skin. Why? Because she loves him. She's offering it with devotion, with love. So yes, persons of that exalted nature, Vamshidas Babaji would be walking with his deities in a canvas bag, and he would see a field where they were growing eggplant, and he would fall to the ground and take the deities out and just put them there in the middle of the field. And then he would take the eggplant and cut it open, pull it off the thing, cut open the eggplant, and put raw turmeric and salt and pepper on it, and offer it to the deities, weeping and weeping and weeping, and give them the eggplant. And then they would take part in the prasad. So someone may say, how could we say that this is an or? How do we know that Krishna is pleased with Vamshidas' offering? Well, how we know? Because Vamshidas Babaji was sitting about 200 yards away from the edge of the ocean in Jagannath Puri. He always carried his little Gopal deity with him. And he would have conversations with Gopal all the time. So he was asking Gopal, "We're by the ocean. Do you want to take bath in the ocean?" "Oh, you want to take bath in the ocean? Okay, I'll arrange it." And then this was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciple was standing right there. And he went like this. Vamshidas said, "Okay, come here for Gopal." And the ocean came up 100 yards to the feet of Vamshidas Babaji and just waited there. And then he bathed the deity in the ocean. And then he said, "Okay, go back." So we can understand that when Vamshidas Babaji offers a raw eggplant with raw turmeric and salt in it, Krishna's eating it. because the devotion is there. Who controls that ocean? It's Krishna. But who controls Krishna? Vamsi's love. Therefore, by that love, Krishna makes the ocean come. So, the important thing is the love and devotion. That's the important thing. And if the love and devotion is there, then Krishna will accept this simple offering of fruits, flowers, leaves, and water. I'm going to end here because this next verse requires some explaining. Yat karosi yat asnasi. There are some commentaries on this by Srila Gurudev and by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, which require some insight. So we'll talk about those. And then we'll make our way over to verse number 30, and we'll start talking about that. And who knows, it may take 1 or 2 videos to finish that verse. We'll see. Because there's like 5 or 6 commentaries, and it requires a lot of depth. And some of the commentaries are diametrically opposed to each other. So to cover all the different points for verse 30 and 31 will require some time. All right, so that's the class for tonight. Thank you very much for coming. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.